All right, welcome aboard, everybody. Hello. Say hello, David.
Good morning, everybody. Well, it's morning for me in a rather warm and hot Australia, and humid. And welcome everybody to the new year. It's it's an exciting new year. We've already had Australian championships. We had our first Dragoon Hobie Championship, so the Hobie year's already started off in the Southern Hemisphere. And I look forward to seeing some more regattas reports coming through. So what's happening in the Northern Hemisphere, Rich?
So yeah, it's winter here. We got some winter weather after a slow start and snow in the backyard. So yeah, all good. Expecting some more snow this weekend.
Definitely no snow where I am. Yeah, just hot and humid. Nice breeze, great sailing breezes. We've been really lucky so far. And as I said, the event in Australia went off really well. They had a lot of boats travel from all around the place, and we even had somebody from the UK turn up and go sailing. So that was good. Andrew Ward came from the UK, and the president of the Hobie Association in the United Kingdom turned up and went sailing. So yeah, it was good.
Nice.
Great to see everybody back sailing. Yeah. And we've got a lot more coming this year. And of course, for us, the big one is the 23rd Hobie 16 Worlds.
Yeah, so we're here to talk about that tonight. Give some folks some updates on that. We've got some news, and thanks for joining in. So if you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube, feel free to comment in your comments field. We see that. We'll try and address your questions as we go. We see Nicholas is already aboard. Welcome, Nicholas. So let me bring in Steve here. Steve Fields from the Hobie Company, and we're going to update you on where we are and what's happening. So here we go. Welcome in, Steve.
Hey, how you going, Rich? Dave, how you going?
Very well, thanks, Steve.
Sounds good then. We're off to the start of the year for sure, and everyone I've talked to had a fantastic holiday and a bit of a break for everybody, and everyone's going back to school and work started back up for a lot of locations, and hopefully Rich will find somewhere where there's snow again. I know out west is looking good. I'm not sure about travel. The planes are a pain right now, but I had another big ski dump over there, snow dump the other day, and it's looking good. I think you're going in March, so pretty good. We're just trying to catch up today to let people know where we're at with the 23rd Hobie 16 Worlds in Spain. And just kind of review where we're at now and what the process is. When we run these events, and for the last 10 or 15 years, we have a very good risk management and a management team who evaluates events all the way from the release date to when it's over. And we have some trigger points along the way. Some of those are when we have to order T-shirts and order food, and we look at the scenario. In this particular Worlds, I think we've had 2 goes at it as far as trying to schedule the Worlds, and obviously with the what's going on in the world, the COVID has we've had to delay it twice, and we're at that stage again. So the event management team, the IHCA, the host have all met on January 10th, which is our trigger date to make some decision. Look at what's going on as far as international travel and how we can make sure everyone is safe and healthy. and we have decided to take up the option that is listed into the notice of race, moving the dates to the 15th to the 29th of September of 22. There's been a lot of hours on this, and we've been following the outbreak of Omicron since it was first really brought to the forefront in South Africa, and as it's moved across the different areas. Spain right now is in still a level 4 restriction area with a travel advisory not to go to Spain. France is back down to work at home if you're office and admin staff. A lot of different places in Europe have kind of closed down. International travel is still open, which is a really fantastic sign. Nothing's been shut down. I think we're starting to understand that this particular variant, while it can put you in hospital, your odds are better, but the way it is being transmissible, we were concerned. And on the same day we had the final briefing, the World Health Organization came out with a pretty ominous statement that between 50 and 80% of the European countryside region will be exposed to it. And right now, more than 25 countries have reported more than a 1% positive test rate on that. There's a lot of places, there's a lot of people that are getting sick. A lot of people are vaccinated, but all of these events are about numbers and making sure we have good turnout. And more importantly, especially after this long wait, we don't want to be in a situation to where we leave this any longer. The window is too small for us to produce gear with, say, dates on it, ordering food, bringing in and scheduling event staff, not only for our team that runs the event, they also bring in extra staffing to manage the resort. So there's a lot of wheels and clogs that all have to go together to do it. We've had a very good take up on entry so far. And what we've done tonight is obviously this live feed is letting people know the good news is that it's going forward. We've just moved it to the date that was announced in the original notice of race, so it shouldn't be new to anybody. We have a good information on the resort of how to change your booking. So if you have booked lodging or a bungalow or whatever your accommodation needs are, is you have your own customer portal and you use a code that they gave you during registration, and you can go and simply transfer the dates to the same class at the different time period. The resort is doing a second tier system that everyone who has registered and got accommodation, they're going to email them directly and say, hey, in case you've lost your code, how can we help you? Do you want to transfer, you're in the Masters on the May series? Do you want the Masters in the 15th to 29th series? And they walk you through that process. So that's really, really an easy part. The same with the people that for some reason cannot attend in September. There's ways of getting refunds. Again, the place to find that is in the notice of race. There's links there to the emails. It'll also probably within a half an hour be listed in the FAQs or frequently asked questions. So a little bit disappointing, but I think overall I'd rather move it now than wait another 30 days and then have international travel shut down. They're a little bit harder to change tickets sometimes versus accommodation, even though all the new airlines make it pretty easy. But it's the best thing to do, and it's not going to be good news to some people, but please look at the bigger picture. We haven't seen all of the Hobie family and the sailors in a long time, and what we don't want to do is put ourselves in a particular area that it won't happen again. The resort is going to take and exceed world safety guidelines. It's still going to be a bubble. You're still going to have to be vaccinated and show proof of vaccine. You'll have to be tested. So we're ensuring every step from the time you leave to the time that you go to the resort, sail the regatta, and come home. We have a duty of care, and that duty of care from the IHCA and the resort is to look after your well-being. It's far more important than a sailing event. And I think it's the right decision to do. And I welcome any comments or questions if you've got anything in there, Rich, that you want to raise up or put on screen.
Yeah, so these are tough decisions for sure, and the class, the company, the entire organizing team, we struggle with these. We want to produce an event, we want people to come, we want international travel to be open, but we want to do it in a safe manner, and we understand, yes, this is going to be inconvenient for some people. I mean, I myself, I have accommodations booked, I have plane tickets booked, and yeah, I'm going to have to change them. But we're doing the best we can to produce the event and make it safe, and that people can come and we can have a real world championships. So we're going to make it easy as we can for people to make the changes. If absolutely doesn't work, there'll be information on how you request a refund. That'll all be on the website later tonight. So David, jump in.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say. There's two things here. Sorry, I haven't got COVID. One is that we're trying to, we had to make these decisions at the last, last minute to advise everybody, because we need to go back and make sure that we've got, the most important part is that everybody's safe, and the second part is we can have a big Hobie family. We want everybody to be able to get there. We don't want regions to be locked out. We don't want to make it difficult for anybody. We also don't want to make it so somebody doesn't feel safe that they don't want to go there. By September, everything should be all sorted out, as best as we can worldwide. And so, I think it's, we apologize to everybody for not making it the decision any sooner, but there's a lot of other factors we've got to look into it to make sure that we can give the best decision, not just for you, but for everyone. And that's what all the decisions we make are for, trying to consider everyone. And that not only includes the sailors, it includes the sponsors and the host hotel. Absolutely everybody we've got to take into consideration before we make these hard decisions. So I hope everybody appreciates that.
Yeah, there's some good comments in there, and I really appreciate it. The thing is, if you don't, you have to have a fairly solid risk management and event management plan that you have to stick to run these things successfully. We had them in Florida. We've had them in every place we've done worlds. We've had them. We've never had to use them. This time, we've had to move it several times. So it's a pain. I've lost some sleep over it, but at the end of the day, exactly what Brookes said, when we delayed last time, international travel was not open. Like the Australians and the South Pacific could not attend. It just made it really hard. So it would make it an unfair world. And we had seen that with some regattas in Europe, calling them world championships, but really they were just a local regatta. And I don't want to go down that path. It's a world, it has to be international. So when things cleared and more people got vaccinated, as soon as international travel opened up, that's why we announced the event at the Multi-Europeans. And we had a great window up until the end of November. And then Omicron came in and said, hello, we're going to have some fun here. And that's it. So that's why we have these dates. We wanted to wait till after the Christmas, New Year's period to find out where that level of spread is, and how much burden it is on the various countries, and to see how it was traveling. I'm very pleased that I think the WHO said this is the largest number of testing and positive cases since the virus came out. That's with A and Delta in a single week period. So this is going through very quickly. The areas that it's gone through, like South Africa, it's almost gone, and I'm fairly confident of where we need to be. But again, I'll put my hand up. I've got to make the tough decisions, and we surround ourselves with the most knowledgeable people we can. Executive staff of the IHCA have just been fantastic and very encouraging. And then once the decision's made, everyone came back and said, thank you. I mean, a lot of my event team said, Steve, I was expecting this. I'm glad it's come because we really need to be safe. And it's funny. Last year, I knew no one had COVID, and now I know a whole bunch of people, and that's just the where it is. And I really want to make this a very large world. Now, on the positive side of things, we've also done a couple things. Obviously, there was a cutout date. I think it's the 14th for early entry. That has now been extended to mid-February. So you've got another month to do it. We are opening up tonight, open qualifying. So for those who are not pre-qualified, you'll be able to enter and have, I think it's a month, to come up with the funds to enter the open qualifying. Next week, finally, the regional associations have sent us all the information on who is pre-qualified. And like the last Worlds, you'll get a token. So all the people that are pre-qualified, you'll get a token. And I think it's going to be within 7 days. Everyone who's pre-qualified for the Open will be able to register. So that's the timeline. The event has been changed as per notice of race. The Open qualifying is open, should be tonight, if not tomorrow morning. We've extended the early entry tier, so you can save a heck of a lot of money. And that's trying to end on some good news about the event and something that's a very difficult decision. But, you know, you got to take the good with the bad, and this is what you have to do.
Yeah, so I guess that's the bad news. Why don't we switch tacks now and let's talk the good news here. So we've got some information to share about the boats, and it's a little presentation. So let me put that up, and Steve, why don't you walk us through that?
Yeah, well, something we haven't done in the past, and I've observed, you know, probably the last 6 or 7 Worlds, you have people show up to another country that has a slightly different boat. Tiller extensions of being one. The European uses a different system. We have different trap handles and things like that. So I thought, you know what, let's give people the heads up. You know, people are buying masking tape to make numbering decals for their downhauls or their jib halyards. We want to walk you through what these special edition World's boats are, so you say, hey, I don't need to bring the tiller. It's the right length. Or if I do, I use this fitting. We'll walk through it if you want to put that slide up, and we can do it.
I got that started. Can you see that?
Nothing online yet.
Uh-oh. Okay, stand by.
But Steve, that's really good that, you know, to go back and make it like this, so we can actually, sailors know what they can bring, what they can't. You know, let's face it, when we all go to an event, we all carry too much stuff. Now we'll have the right equipment to bring with us. We can leave some of the things at home. So
well, it's just borrowing all the event team's tools to fix whatever you brought from another country that doesn't fit the World's boats. So there's just been a few changes, and all we've really done is over the years, you know, you've had the Australian boats, the North American boats are very similar. They just have a com tip mast, com tip halyard. European boats have had a different rudder system. So all we've tried to do over the years is put together a global boat, for lack of a term. And this particular one, the boat we're building now, is a special edition boat. And like the automotive, we're going to use it at the Worlds, and then we're going to take and roll that into a production. Sailing a World Championship is like sailing the boat for a full season. So some of the systems we're changing will be tested, and then we can roll that into production. Just waiting on that PowerPoint thing to come up, Rich.
Not up yet, huh?
Clearly, no, there's nothing there.
Clearly, I'm not.
I think it's a Mac thing.
Could be. All right, let's try again here. Slides. No. Stand by.
Nicholas has there. Steve, can we pay after registration, or it has to be done at the same time? When you register, you have to pay to be a paid member. So you have to register and you have to pay your money, just like the last 6 or 7 Worlds. The only thing we've done this year, in the last couple of years, is made it, if you don't know who your crew is, that your crew can take and enter afterwards. The other thing we have separated in the past, the skipper was signing off on the liability forms for the crew, and that's not the best way to do it. So now the crew will have to log onto their account, fill in their details, and accept, you know, the model releases and liability forms on their own. So we've brought that responsibility, the onus of the individual, not the skipper saying, hey, my crew signs this. If there's something wrong, it puts us in a bad thing. So we've really tried to make this thing as easy as possible for all the parties, and you have a separate account. There we go. Hobie 16 Worlds boats. Again, these are the boats that are just built for the Worlds. As everyone knows, I change the rigging on every single Worlds boat. And the reason I do that is that I want people to set the boat up on their knowledge, not the fact that they're an Australian boat and I run my downhaul on this and I run my side stays the number 3 down. I want it to be a fair test of the technical ability to rig the boat in addition to the ability to sail it. The forestay is something we've seen in for the last couple of years, and it's mainly for the wear and the sail. Again, these boats on the water are equivalent to sailing almost for a year. So that forestay being slack slaps on the jib, and this takes care of it. All we're going to do is, where that blue tape is, we're going to put a Nyco press. That's going to help that shock cord stay in place. But what it does, it reduces wear and tear on the jib, so that when we go to sell the boat, the jib's in good shape. But it just gives you an idea of what to expect on here. The shock cord's fitted, it's all there. And again, it just gives you an idea, people, what's it for? That's what it's for. It's to make sure these boats are looked after, because a lot of people are already starting to place orders for these boats now. What do we got next, Rich?
We go.
Okay, nothing rocket science here. It's the same Harken 150. These have been through bolted into the mast. A lot of times ex-factory. In some countries, they're put in with self-tapping screws. Again, because of the high loading and wear and tear, they're through bolted. But what I'm showing off here a little bit is the last few years, the North American boats and the Australian boats, we're all using Liros ropes, but we use a solid 5 mil Liros Dyneema rope. And Europe has always had this polyester Dacron coating on the outside, so it actually grips into the Harken 150. It still should be secure on the halyard cleat, but what we're showing people so they know that this is the rope we're using. It's still the same internal cord. It's Liros Dyneema. The internal is 5, the exterior is 6 mil, and that gives you an idea to it. While we're there, you can see on the back side of the left track is a number decal. A lot of times certain events didn't have that, so we're going to have a number decal on the port and starboard side of the downhaul, and that's just going to make it easy for your setup and your adjustments while you're sailing up and downwind. So just a bit of a change that we're doing. Jib Traveler System. Now this is mainly to show the Europeans. So for more than 25 years, the Europeans have used a separate jib slider and swivel cleats mounted on the crossbar, whereas back in, I think, 1998, North America, the South Pacific, 2/3 of the world moved over to what we're calling the Aussie Jib Traveler System. It has the same SSA brass rollers as your main rear traveler inside of it. A couple of run stand, I think they're 5001 cleats, and they're running through a sheave on the outboard side of the casting. And that's the jib system we're running. We're running a 9 millimeter jib sheet, and it's 10 millimeters long. The one thing that we are changing is the size of the rope on the jib outhaul is slightly increasing in size, and we've changed the sheave or pulley in what we call the garage, or the outside of the casting. There were some people in Florida that the jib halyard line was getting caught between the edge of the casting and the roller, so that's been changed. So the thing here is we're running the North American Aussie system, 9 millimeter jib sheet, and it's 10 millimeters long. Jib clue is the same. It's the Harken 224, and it's a 3/16 shackle. The shackles have to be ground down so that it actually be configured in that way with the block side to side. Most of the people who have sailed world championships, I think we've run this for the last 6 worlds, but because we're in Europe and we haven't had a world championships in over, I think, 27 years in the mainland, it's given these guys the opportunity to have a look at where we're at. Same thing again, it's just a highlighting of the numbering strip for the downhaul. Just so everyone knows, I have some worlds where people start putting tape on everything and Artline 90 pins. We've just brought this in as a convenience device. The gooseneck, I don't know if you can see it, above the shackle is the fitting. That's actually a welded fitting. We found that normal sailing, the pin and clevis ring are okay. They work in North America. They work in Europe. At worlds and places with lots of wind, we found some failure rates. So the last 6 or 7 worlds, we weld that nut in, and it's a ring style. So it's slightly different than the European. The European have a hex shackle at the top and a white pulley. Obviously, with the 6-to-1 downhaul, that's changed. But at least you know when you get there, that's what that equipment's going to look like. Outhaul system is pretty straightforward. Most boats these days worldwide come with the clam cleat, and it runs a 2-to-1 system as a Harken 224 running from your outhaul line, and we've shortened up the little tag line that's hanging down so that it's not can catch on your neck or on some of your gear. On the main sheet block, we're using the Harken 2640 for the main sheet block, and we've also moved the boom hanger a little bit closer to the boom extrusion, which we do for world championships, and that allows some of the guys to carry a little bit more mass rake that need it. Sometimes the youth division and the women's carry a little bit more mass rake. They still want the main sheet tension or rig tension, and by giving them an extra 3/16 or 1/4 inch, whatever that is, millimeters these days, we've done that. So it gives you an example of the aft end of the boom. Non-skid. So again, what we've tried to do, and this has come out of the last 4 worlds, is we're using a 3M material to stick on. It's a very good material. So we're putting some dots, as we call it. I think in Australia, we're using neoprene and using contact cement. These are using a very good 3M material. So you'll have on each of the corner castings some grip for your footing. And we've increased the length of the non-skid on the transom of the boat. So it starts off just behind the track and the pylon, and you can see how far back it goes. It gives you a good idea of what we're trying to do when the wind comes up on any kind of reaching, that we already have that non-skid on there. Because as you all know, you're not allowed to put wax and things on boats, and we just want to make sure that we have as much traction as we can. You don't fall off the boat, you don't capsize, you can still win the race. That's the idea. This is really to show off the rudder system. So for, again, more than 20 years, the Europeans have gone with the bent tiller arms and the straight upper castings, whether it be left and right. And the 2/3 of the world were using the curved upper rudder castings and running a straight arm. So this is what we replaced. So this would be something changed for the Europeans. This would be something new they haven't sailed with. They've always had that different arms. All the systems work the same. It's still the 1954 tiller connectors. There still is the adjustment that you can set up your rudder toe in, and if you need to be on the water to adjust it, you can just make that a change. So that's just giving the Europeans an idea of how it goes. It's also showing the writing line of how the world's boats are going to be used. So we tie off at the Dolphin Striker post, that's below the crossbar and the mast step, and we weave the line all the way through the trampolining and back up. And in the past, we used to trough in the pylons and run it to the center, but we found some of the lighter crews or shorter crews, the line was not long enough. So for the last couple of worlds, this is the configuration for the riding line, and you can't change it. So again, if it's something you haven't seen before, this is what to expect when you come to the World Championships. And you might want to try and lace it up now on your own boat and just get used to it if you know you're out practicing riding the boat and things like that. Tiller connection kit. So some reason the French have always done it differently, where they have put the fitting on the tiller versus the 3205 yoke on the tiller crossbar. So here we have the North American Australian fitting with the 1/4 inch clevis pin and ring, and the tiller extension comes off this way. I know every single world someone brings a tiller and it never matches the boat, and they end up hacking up carbon fiber, and it's just not a lot of fun. You know, you got a $500 tiller extension, and next thing you know, you're on the beach with some duct tape and a hacksaw. So this gives everyone the heads up that it's that yoke material, and that's what to expect. Trampolines, I think for the last 4 worlds, we've adopted this system. So we have the sailors themselves can run the trapeze shock cords both on the outside, one on the inside, whatever configuration. You can see there are 2 number 2 stainless steel grommets in the trampoline. So if you decide to want to separate them for crew's sake, to make it where they don't get caught, whatever combination you want, we've given you the ability. Inside both, outside both, you can split it skipper and crew. That's what to expect. And those are an acceptable change during your beach turnarounds or your boat set up before the actual regatta starts. J&H handles. So again, for many years, 2/3 of the world had a white and a black, where Europe has only had black. We used to get a lot of feedback from crews that, can you please just separate the colors? A lot of crews separate them by rope color. We're probably going to do both. We'll have a separate rope color, but we'll also have a different handle. I know it's only minor, but what we're trying to do is get you familiar with when you show up, there's no surprises. So if you're used to white and black, you got it there. The Europeans, you have that option. Some may not care at all, but at least we're trying to equate you to what that material is. The side stays with all worlds. They come with 2 1/4-inch pins and clevis pins. We do this for a couple reasons. One, for safety, that for some reason you lose one clevis ring, there's a chance that the pin could come down. There's a chance the rig could come down. Here, it's a backup, like we run twin Nyco press fittings. We're running 2 pins in the side stay. What I like about it is the while you're on the water, if the breeze goes up or down, you're able to walk your rig up and down without any endangerment of dropping a pin. I know myself, for many times on the side of the boat, it's, you know, blowing dogs off chains. I want to rake it back. I'm hanging on the side of the boat, and you lose a ring ding, and you only have 1 pin. You're kind of between a rock and a hard place. So we're just making it easy. And again, for people who have not been to Worlds, you can't use toggle ones. A lot of people still use the toggle pins. You can't use them. You have to use the fittings we have. These work. It makes it where you're not going to lose the rig. You can continue to race, continue to sail, and have a chance at winning and going home as a world champ.
All right. Very good.
That was it?
That was all from that.
All right. There's a few other things that are in there. Just talking about it, the tiller extension has been a increased length over the years. The factories have slowly made them longer and longer and longer. The same thing is here. The line locks, the slide didn't come up. We've gone with the European line lock. It's twice the material and it holds up well. So there's shouldn't be anything. Now there's some questions here. The trampoliation is pretty open from the second picture. Yeah, this is a prototype boat in the factory that I'm just trying to rig it and make sure that everything is there. So Nicholas, the center will be double grommeted and the rear is double grommeted. We just didn't use a main sheet system and just take and tighten everything up. It's just making sure the mast went up, it stayed up, all the fittings went on, and happy day we rubber stamped it. What other ones? The trampoliation is there, 7 sheet or 9. We're running 9mm jib sheet. Jib sheet is 10 meters long. The main sheet is also 10 meters long. Someone has asked about the jib halyard. It is going to be on the port side of the mast, just like the Australian boats for tying off the jib halyard. On the main halyard, it didn't come through. We have added a shock cord to the main halyard. So once you pull your sail up, you can clip that shock cord down on the main halyard cleat. Again, it stops it flapping on the mast, but it also stops it to where, depending upon whoever puts the batten pocket protectors on, sometimes that main halyard can get caught up on that batten pocket protector. So again, it holds the halyard straight. It stops the wear and tear and the scratching of the mast. And it's just a better way. So there's lots of little things that we've done from all of our years of experience. Euro Traplinks, we're using the Australian Traplink, Susie. Thank you for asking that job. So the rigging will be slightly different in bridle length and side stay length than what you're used to having in your own country. That's fine. The jib sheet's the same, main sheet's the same, jib halyard's 21 millimeters long, main halyard's the same, outhaul's the same. The downhaul system, we didn't get a photo of it. It will be through the trampoline as the last world. There is no swivel shackle on the bottom of it. That's not class legal. You can only adjust it pulling from the back. And the rope that we tail the downhaul on, the tail end runs over to the starboard side of the boat. We have a zip-tied Harkin 224, and it runs over to the far side of it. So all the excess downhaul rope you put on, it's not dangling in the water. It's not on the deck. So if you do capsize, you're not wrapped into it. So there's a few things that we've done for safety. The same with the jib traveler control lines. They're very short the way they're tied. So if you do capsize, there's not a lot of loose ropes that you're exposed to from a safety point of view. Again, there's not a lot of difference for people who've sailed Australian boats or North American boats or been in the last couple of worlds. And a lot of this is really aimed at the European market. There's a lot of changes to not do it. And I think when we're coming to worlds, I know as a sailor, I don't want surprises. I just want to go there and just be only focused on this. This is going to give the opportunity to either upgrade to what the European boats are going to be, the global boat, for lack of a better word. In this case, it's a special edition boat. So you get familiar with it. You can go out practicing. You can change your jib systems. You can change your jib ropes and get used to them. I mean, a lot of Europeans run, 10, 12 millimeter ropes, or whatever. So it gives you the opportunity to make the changes to your boat now, to fine tune your skills, get used to the new systems, and that way you know what's coming. Now, someone had asked about full alloy mast. It's only North America that runs the comp tips. Everyone else in the world has alloy masts. The masts that are full piece have always been supplied since 1998 from Europe. It's a very, very solid and good extrusion. Will all production boats be like this? The goal here is we've taken the best from everybody and the systems that the majority of people like using. We put it on the water, we sail it for 3 weeks, which is a year of sailing, and look at what's the feedback from the sailors, what's the wear and tear ratio, is there something we can improve? I mean, the boats are very, very robust. I mean, we just don't break things anymore. We don't blow up travelers. We don't blow up jib cars. Very, very little fails, but what we do is fine tune things so that we give you the best product that we can. And then what you buy from your dealership is what is raced on there. Metric system or imperial? Ha, 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 ha. You can do both. Well, in Australia, they go into a lumber yard and order 3 meters of 4B2. So there you go, Nicholas. Which jib battens? Great questions. We are not using the Velcro jib battens. Thank you very much. We ran them in South Africa, and from that point on, we will never, ever, ever, ever use those at a world championships. It's one more thing that can fail. You don't have as much adjustability, especially in the top of the jib. The way the top of the jib is put together on a 16 is not the best system, but it's, the 30 or 40-year-old boat. The broad seams, the way the luff curve, having the ability to put some tension in that number 1, possibly number 2 jib batten is nice. I will say that the battens are going to be European battens in the main and jib. We have found them to be a little bit softer on the main batten sets. The main battens, the number 1 and number 2, I tapered the template. So the top 2 battens on the main will be just a little bit tapered just to push the draft slightly forward. The jib will be the same thing. It'll have a little bit of taper on the top jib batten and the number 2 jib batten. So there's some stuff that we're trying to let you know ahead of time. This is what we're going to supply and why we do it. What jib battens in? Gooseneck entry to master slot. That has been opened up. The European slot was in the wrong position, we felt, and we found a position with the new downhaul that it goes in nicer, but what we found is as you start pulling that downhaul on, the bolt rope doesn't hit the mast track, and vice versa. So the system we had in North America worked well. It worked in the last couple of worlds. So that's one. Aussie height, if that answers your question. It works well, Andrew. Thank you for the question. So the Australian, North American, we've modified it. We've also put a little bit more taper on that opening. The European opening is very tight, and it's a pain to get the sail in and out and the bolt rope. So there's a nice flare there. It goes in and out easily and very easy to adjust. Great question. So that's good. So I hope that's a kind of, at arm's length, what the event boats are going to be. What can you expect? And there's no surprises, because I really want a European to win this. It's on their home soil. The Aussies are probably going to win it, but I really want the Europeans to have the best chance. So, hi, Pat Porter. Hi, just listening. I know you're there.
Yeah, so I've sailed both the European boat and, of course, the North American boat. But I've sailed the European boat in recent years too, and a lot of this is really hardware and small. I mean, it's all tweaks, right, to the system, right? It's all little incremental improvements, but a lot of the changes are really just hardware. And really, the boat is still the boat. The hulls are the same, the rudders are the same. It's the same boat we're used to. So.
Yeah, a lot of this came up from Australia World. So 2014 was the largest worlds we've ever had, as far as the most number of countries, most number of competitors. Like the Australian take up, in your backyard, you would go sailing. And these people hadn't sailed a boat for 20 years. That's going to be the same case in Europe. They're used to, 3-inch upper and lower blocks. They're used to the old Ronstant 2068 jib blocks hanging on a 1/4-inch shackle. They didn't have the integrated front beams or rear beams. They had tracks on them. So there'll be a lot of very fast, old school guys, but I want to give those guys a chance to know what they're seeing, hop on the water, and come join us, because I really want to see a lot of the Europeans show up. It's their time to shine. I don't think it's going to be 27 more years before we have another event on mainland Europe, but all I got to say to the Europeans, please attend this event and show us how good you guys are and how big a party we can have in Europe. I think it's going to be led by Andy Dinsdale, so I've ticked that box, so I know it's going to be a good time. We just want to get a lot of the old farts there, and then the super old farts, and then the almost dead people on boats, and go sailing. So there's plenty of classes, great grandmasters, masters, youth, kids, women. So I'm looking forward to it. I'd love to smash Jervis Bay's record without question. So let's do it. I hope you're up for the challenge. We've made everything we can so far. We're doing it for you. The postponement's for you. Showing you the boats is for you. We're just trying to make it to where everything is, it's all about you. We're trying to do this for you guys. You're very important to us at the Hobie Cat Factory, and you're super important to all those grassroots members of the IHCA and all the people who work the regional associations and volunteer to make these events happen. Your appreciation can be shown by showing up at the World Championships.
Just with that, Steve, I think it's very important for people to understand when we do have the World Championship there are limited numbers. It's not just an open-ended world. So if people want to enter, they really have to go back in there and enter now, because if you delay, you may miss out. You'll be on a waiting list, and we don't, if you're that excited, do it now. Don't wait for, and the other part is it's also cheaper.
It's the very first of the 48 boat worlds. So in the past, we've had 56 boats and 4 spares. From a commercial point of view, that's expensive. It's a lot more boats. But what we're facing right now is transport and shipping. The average shipping, if you can get a container right now, the average to Europe is approaching 70 days. That was one of the other reasons for moving this date. The shipping window, some of the guys in Europe, they haven't had a container since November of product. So there's a whole bunch of factors. COVID was one, supply chain and transport the other. So please know the hat I'm wearing, there's a lot of stuff going on to make these things here. So 48 boat worlds means there is a limited spot in every one. All that information of how many we're going to take is on the notice of race. And we've put in there a waiting list. But we've done the right thing. We knew there was a cutoff date on the 14th. This is why we're having the meeting tonight, so no one misses out on saving any money. And we've extended it that extra time. So we've taken all the factors in to make it easy. Naomi, thank you very much. I've been well supported by a lot of people, and a lot of the Australians have come back and said they were getting worried about flying and making it. They all want to come to this event. I tell you what, I mean, it's been a fairly rough week behind the scenes, but to hear the positive vibes coming out of this means the decision was the right one. And as Rich said, is there going to be some anger? Is there going to be some hate mails in the morning? Yes. I am going to turn my PC and phone off tonight. But please, there's a lot of factors. Shipping was the other big factor here. Just getting some of the goods from the United States here, getting the sales transported. There's a lot of stuff going on to make these things viable. And I, for one, cannot wait to the opening ceremony for a world that hasn't been in Europe for a long, long time.
I think the other positive, Steve, is we've now got the Hobie 16s qualifying is now open, or will be, you know, in the next hour when it goes live on the website.
Correct.
So we've got now we've got the youth, we've got the women, we've got the masters, the grandmasters, the great grandmasters, and the open qualified. The only one that will that won't be open will be the pre-qualified. And for those people, how do you know you're pre-qualified? If your regional chairman hasn't told you you're pre-qualified, then you're not pre-qualified. It's now closed. It's too late to get a pre-qualified spot now.
I've just looked on the website. Yep. It's now open, and you have to fill your account. The biggest thing too, and one of the things that we really took to heart from the European Association were the fee structures. I think towards the end it was like $900 or $1,100 US to enter the Florida Worlds. Here we are, open qualifying to start off with is like $480. The other events, the women's and youth, you're looking at $430. The prices have been cheaper now than they were the last Worlds, even though the cost of doing business, the cost of running the factory, inflation has driven this to the roof. Here we are. The Hobie Class Association is offering a world championship at a reduced rate. And again, this is because of the info and input from the European class, but the willingness for the class association and the Hobie manufacturer to live up to our promise of 3 years ago to no matter what we did, we're going to Europe for the next Worlds. And Rich and Dave have filled that obligation, and that's what they promised to do. And we back them as the factory. And I think that's a testament to, you know, there's a lot of people offering to run championships, but they were very steadfast with the decision. And several conversations, guys, we're going to Europe, and that's where we're going, regardless of what's happening. So hats off to everybody in the IHCA to do that commitment. And that's all I got to say for me. And I think it's getting close to dinner time here.
All right, so let's wrap up. So yeah, so check the website for the updated information will be available. I guess it's out there now, if not today. We're trying to address all the questions you have, but if we missed something, feel free to contact us. We're going to try to do the best we can to make this as seamless as we can for everyone. We're hoping this was, you know, interesting for you with some information on the boats. And, you know, we'll keep trying to update you as we go. We'll continue doing live streams. We're always looking for more subjects to do interesting topics and keep everybody engaged through, well, at least in my part of the world, the winter season. So we hope to see you all soon, and I look forward to seeing you all in Spain.
Just one quick thing. The couple things. If you have comments or stuff and you're going to send an email, please make sure you start by saying, hello, how are you? Great to see you. And then say what you got to say. That's first and foremost. But that's the important part. I mean, don't burn us here. All right. So, the website is open. All the new schedules are posted. Notice of races changed. Everything's there. I'll shut up. I just wanted to make sure if you're going to take and blast us, say hello, good day, how are you first. Thank you very much, because I know who I'm going to get an email from in the morning.
All right, let's wrap it up. So thanks, everybody, and look forward to talking to you soon.
Okay. Yep. Thanks, everybody, and Happy New Year, and look forward to seeing everybody at the next Worlds, if not sooner.